Hello, everyone, and hope this works. This is Quarkus Insights episode 146, and we have today myself and, of course, Holly, Clement, and our guest Antoine Sabot-Durand. Before doing intros, maybe we do some news. Is there anything new this week? Holly, maybe.
I think we've got version 3.6 of the platform coming out this Wednesday, or was it last Wednesday?
It's
Wednesday.
this Wednesday.
This Wednesday.
Core was last Wednesday, and now platform this Wednesday.
And I remember last week someone said, "Oh, we're not going to do another 3.5 release." Well, guess what? We did one.
Yeah, I never know whether the new releases count as news or not, because we basically every week we have some new release. Some are more exciting than others, but there's always a release.
Yeah, boring. Okay, and there was a nice blog post by Ori. Clement, do you know more about this?
Yeah, so Ori and I have been working on Stork for almost 3 years now, 2021. Since the beginning of Stork 2.0, we didn't publish anything, and we actually added a lot of features inside Stork, and Audi decided to write a blog post to just recap a little bit what we have been adding to Stork over the past year. And you have what you have CDI.
Things. What is Stork? Some people
Stork is a framework is a client-side service discovery and selection framework that is integrating in Quarkus. So when you are in a cloud-native environment with services and you don't know which one to pick, Stork will help you picking the right one based on performance, based on the number of calls, or random, or failover. So we have plenty of strategies like that. We integrate Consul, Kubernetes, Knative, Eureka, DNS, and others service discovery mechanism. So it became very rich recently. And in 2.0, the two main changes is the CDI integration. So now you can extend Stork using CDI beans. And I see Antoine smiling because Antoine is a former CDI lead. And he actually taught me a lot about CDI. Well, everything I know about CDI is from Antoine, more or less.
Wow.
And the second big thing is the observability. So now Stork is reporting metrics about service selection, service discovery, and so on, which can then go in Prometheus and so on. So everything has been integrating into Quarkus. A lot of works, often behind the scene, but yeah, it's we have a very nice framework now.
And I guess, Holly, that's the thing with the Quarkus extensions. Like a good extension add all the enterprisey, let's say, features like observability, as we said, and stuff like that. All right, that was an excellent pass about CDI because Antoine was actually CDI spec lead for version 2, if I remember. Yes.
Yeah.
And he got awarded for this. Also became Java champion and all this stuff. And he was with us for 7-8 years. Was it, Antoine, at Red Hat?
I stayed 7 years at Red Hat between 2013 and I left at the end of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So I also contributed to the beginning of the CDI 4 specification, and I was one of the person that did a lot of work around the launch of CDI Lite and the new portable extension, even if other people developed the API. And I'm very, very happy today to see that CDI Lite is in MicroProfile and is in Quarkus, etc. That's I'm very proud of that.
Compatibility now, right?
Yeah.
Full compatibility.
Full compatibility, yeah.
Excellent. All right. And then Antoine chose to burn in hell and go elsewhere. Yes, to some big bank.
Yeah. No. Okay. Do you want me to start with that topic of burning in hell?
Well, starting with
Sometimes
topic,
sometimes it's hotter, or sometimes it's colder. It's colder than in Red Hat. I left Red Hat, and after a lot of thought, because I wanted to go back to the IT consulting. I was missing that, and it was a bit hard for me to leave, but it was one of the reasons. And right now, I'm rather happy from a decision, even if in the future I don't know. And when I left Red Hat, I joined an IT consulting company called Siam, which is a French IT consulting company, a rather small one, but company doing a very challenging project for big company like bank, like marketing company, etc. And that's the reason why I finished on this big banking project on one of the biggest bank in Europe. I'm sorry, I cannot give you the name. I'm not authorized to. And so I started the project at the beginning of 2021, and it's still running, and it will be released. The first batch of the project will be released in 6 to 12 months now.
meaning going in production. Yes.
Yeah. So we are testing stuff in qualification right now, and a few bits in production to test the Kubernetes cluster in the production environment to make sure that everything will be okay. Since there will be 10,000 users for this project, we have to make sure that everything will be okay at the beginning. And it won't, but we will be ready.
Okay. So, what questions do we have for our guest today? Or do you want to just keep going and you can ask?
I can keep going. I like to
Well, keep
hear me
going,
talking.
and then our people here can.
So about this project, this project is how to say, is the new version of all the accountancy platform for this bank, for this group. In fact, it's a very large group of bank, and they are today running their accountability stuff on the mainframes. So there are 6 mainframes. Sorry, if I'm not wrong. And the target is to replace those by something more modern, and starting on microservices with a big database in the middle of that, and the microservices and all the Java part orchestrating the database are done with Quarkus. So we are using Quarkus in 3 different parts of the project. The first part is the part that takes the accountancy data and validate it, make some default value, etc. So it's a lot of writing. We have nearly 1 billion writing by day. So that's a bit tricky. And Quarkus is very efficient related to the memory consumption, because we have a lot of data to deal with and a lot of garbage collector, and it's rather a good optimization of that. The second part is to orchestrate the database. So we have a big database, which is Teradata. I don't know if you know the big one. It was chosen because there are some temporalization feature in Teradata and a lot of powerful parallel treatment. So we decided not to go for how to say, extract, transform, and load pattern, ETL, but try to transform all the data in place in the database. So we are, how to say, programming a database with secure, with a lot of clever stuff using Qt, because we have templating to generate our I will say SQL. I prefer SQL, and so all those are done with Cogito. So we are using BPM. I will explain after that why. And after that, so after all this treatment, we have another part using Quarkus, which is the part, the how to say, the biggest one that will be used by the end user of the platform. And those end user will be around 10,000. So around, and we are not sure right now about the numbers, but around 1,000 at the same time. So it will be rather loaded. And all of these is deployed on a Kubernetes cluster, and we are working on the on using Kubernetes with Fabricate and stuff like that to make sure that we use all the possibility of parallelization and launch multiple jobs for the data ingestion, for instance. And on the user part, so we'll have more classical web services with a classical endpoint because the end user will use a web browser. So those web services are using MyBatis. I don't know if somebody here remember MyBatis. I will explain that after that. And Jackson to in fact make how to say a bridge between the database and the browser. So transform the SQL in the result set of the SQL in a JSON payload and the other way around. And we'll probably use, it's not yet decided, but we'll probably use a caching solution based on Apache Ignite as well to make sure that we don't use too much treatment from the browser.
Just to interrupt a bit, Antoine, you said you're replacing like a mainframe app. Was it running on an application server, like in the traditional sense, or something even like different from that?
No, it was running on big mainframes, IBM ones, costing more than 50 million euro by years. So we should divide the cost by 3 or 4 at the end, if everything is okay. Let's say 3. It will be better.
Yeah.
You've got Quarkus, of course, it will be better.
yeah, Quarkus will be, and it's the less expensive part of the project of that. In fact, Quarkus, because of course Teradata appliance is quite costly.
And
so
also,
I don't know what.
One question more. Your cluster, is it all like on premise, or you overflow to public clouds?
It's not public cloud; it's private cloud. So
private.
The bank has 3 data center, and they are using Kubernetes on those 3 data centers. So we have 3 zones that bring redundancy on the project, and we are using this cluster they gave us. So it's based on IBM Cloud because they like a lot of banks. They are married with IBM for a long time. So it's IBM Cloud, but they add their own layer on the IBM Cloud, adding some restriction that make us suffer a lot every day, but we still achieve to deliver. So it's not. It's only more time to provide the result.
Holly, we got a nice question.
Yeah. So we've got a question about whether you're running Quarkus as compiled to native or whether you're just using Quarkus on JVM.
So we are running it on JVM because because people in charge of the cluster and all the rules in the bank, they didn't want us to go native, but it's a possibility in the future that we'll be able to run it in native. To be honest, one of the people that was against Quarkus usage is now doing some experiment in native, even if nobody asked for this person to do it, and is very keen to go this way. So it's okay. So we convince people, and they are not trying to see what it will give if should we go native. But I think in the production phase, in 6 months, it will be on JVM.
Yeah, I'm really interested on what the objection is to native, because I think it's definitely like there's always sort of a trade-off, and there's benefits to native and benefits to JVM, and throughput is usually higher on JVM, and then startup time is faster on native. But I haven't really heard concerns of we're a regulated industry, so we're not going to use native before. Is it just a sort of a that it's new and unknown, or what is it?
So to put that in perspective, you have to know that this big bank is using Spring a lot. So that's I think that's their only framework they are using today. So there are a lot of big companies that are running Spring in their WebSphere server for a long time. And when we came and say, okay, we want to do microservices, so it was new for them. It was 3 years ago. Microservices idea was rather revolutionary for them, and we are not using Spring Boot. We'll be using Quarkus. So they were not happy from that. So the first objection was the framework you are gonna use is too young. It was released, so it was how to say at that time it was 3 years ago, 3 years and a half ago, and so they said it's too young. And we had in the past we had a very bad experience with young framework. So they talk about Play framework. I don't know if you know Play framework. It was more a French adventure, and they do comparison.
A lot of things in Quarkus has been inspired by Play. So Stéphane Perdo has been a great evangelist to tell us everything we need to know about Play. Play 1 and Play 2.
So they talk about Play, but it was, for me, it was a big, how to say, misunderstanding, because we are not in this family, even if ideas coming from that. So the first answer regarding that objection was that Quarkus is based on microprofile. So they discovered microprofile, by the way, at the same time. And microprofile is based on a Java EE. So it's not a new framework from the programming model point of view. It's rather old and mature. So it's not a real objection. Okay, so the next objection was about vendor locking. They didn't want to go into vendor locking. They are in the vendor locking with Spring, but not with another vendor. And by the way, they are also using a lot of Red Hat software. They are using Linux and stuff like that. So they are already Red Hat client, but Red Hat customer, but whatever. So what we did was a demonstration with some experimentation. We took our code. So at the moment, it was rather small. We didn't have a lot of microservices, but let's say 5 or 6 of them. It was more, how to say, an experimentation at the time. And we took this code and put it in Open Liberty. And we show them that, we show them two things, that they already had a license on microprofile with Open Liberty, and that the code that we did was running on Open Liberty by only changing some configuration. And they were a bit puzzled by this. They discovered the portability of the programming model. It was a rather pleasant episode. But it didn't totally convince them. So they also said, okay, we work a lot to unify our Java stack with Spring. We are Spring user. We are very committed to Spring, etc. And we don't want to switch to Quarkus. So we answer them, so don't switch. you can keep both technology. It's not one or the other. You can have both of them, and perhaps it's better to not have only one technology. It was a few weeks before the Spring Shell security issue, so there was the demonstration after that, but I don't know if they got it. And the other objection was about the fact that Quarkus was not a very popular framework from that point of view. So it's a rare technology. So it will be very costly to hire a developer for Quarkus. Because when we will leave the project, going for another project or a customer, they will have to maintain it. So we said that most of the programmers that joined the project weren't Quarkus developers. They were Spring developers. And it took them between 1 or 2 days to switch to Quarkus because the programming model is very similar. It's normal because if you look at the history of Java EE and Spring, I gave a nice talk about the war between Spring and Java EE, if you can catch it. It was on a Java Champion conference last year. So if you look at the programming model, it's rather the same. So people took only 1 or 2 days to switch. And if the developer you are hiring cannot switch from Spring to Quarkus, I think you should really take over developers because they are not very, they don't understand what they are doing. That's it. And in the end, all those response to their objection make the decision. So to be honest, it was a bit pushed by the management to say, okay, there were demonstrations that it's working. It's faster than the other solution that we made. Let's go with that. And since we are working with Quarkus and we are very happy for that, it's quite fast. We have a lot of pleasure to go for testing with Quarkus because it's very fast to reload, etc. And nobody complained in the team saying, "Oh, we should go back to Spring" or something like that. So,
Antoine, just to interrupt you a bit, the same scenario we've seen it in many other companies where it took them like literally 2 days to rewrite an app on Quarkus if it's not like something exotic, and then of course they see the benefit and performance and all that stuff. But tell us a bit about the developer's experience, because this thing, unless you actually try it yourself, it's hard to convince. You have to live through it.
In fact, we had 1 or 2 developers coming on the project that were quite skeptical regarding Quarkus, and they took a bit more of time to switch. But in fact, they didn't believe that the stuff was working like it was working because it was too magical to be possible. And step by step, they say, okay, it's working like that, but okay, I thought it wasn't possible, etc. And it arrives. It occurs 2 times on 2 people, and today they are the more advanced user on the project, the more advanced developer on the project. So I think one of the baseline on Quarkus was about developer joy. I don't remember but it's
right.
Okay. It looks like a kind of advertising, but I saw that. It's
talking about magic. We had discussed this internally in the team because it's true that it looks magic. Some things that just work out of the box, and Quarkus can guess what you're trying to do and help you. And for some people, it's a mental, step they have to do to figure out that A, it works. B, it looks like magic. It's not that much magic if you understand the mechanism. And I think it's up to us here to explain it better, but it's just very capable engineering behind it. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not the best one to make the comparison because I didn't do a lot of stuff with Spring Boot. But from what I understand from the people that use both of them is the fact that the magic in Quarkus is easier to get and is easier to unplug if you need something a bit different. So you don't have this effect. Okay, it's doing nice stuff, but I want it to do it in another way. I unplug the stuff and I'm alone in the dark and I need to start from scratch. That's not the case with Quarkus. You can unplug a part of it and reconfigure and restart with it. That's the feedback I had from a developer that had who had a lot of experience with Spring Boot and Quarkus.
That's such a nice way
More
of
about
putting
testing.
it.
Yeah, probably maybe.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, that's interesting as well that you're saying that, some of the developers, they object to the magic, because we see that as well. And I think sometimes what happens is in the worst case, it's like a usability problem because people expect it to be hard. And when it's easy, they assume they're doing it wrong. And so they work really hard to try and find the thing that they're supposed to be doing, when actually if they would just do nothing, it would do what they were hoping.
Yeah. But to be honest, we have on the project very, very experienced developers. We don't have a lot of junior developers on the project. So they like to understand the magic. They like to understand how the magic is done. And they have some pleasure to get it. Okay, they are doing like this. That's nice. And that's very pleasant to have this intellectual satisfaction of understanding the stuff under the hood that is done by the framework. That's very nice part.
Yeah, and if you want to really become a magician, you can make Clement disappear like we did just now, or try to write an extension.
Magic as well.
Yes. You can write an extension for Quarkus, like as a side project. Take a library, try to Quarkify it, and in doing so, you will learn like many things of how Quarkus works.
By the way, we have a developer that joined us a few weeks back, and this guy is a contributor on big project on Kafka, Cucumber, and stuff like that. And it starts proposing some pull requests on the Quarkus project regarding Vault, regarding Cucumber, regarding Cogito, because we are using Cogito. And this guy is amazing and saying, "Oh, that's nice. I learned a lot of stuff by contributing." And that's, I think this how to say, community, in fact, the spirit of the Quarkus community is also something that is very nice and gives you the impression that you can be part of something bigger than only the project on which you are. We had some problem with Vault on our Kubernetes cluster. There was some discrepancy in the Vault extension, or some stuff lacking regarding mounting multiple volume, etc. And he proposed a contribution, and it was accepted. So next version will have what we need. That's great. I love this. That's the open source like it should be.
He might get a T-shirt.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So regarding extension, we probably will work on the Apache Ignite integration. I know that there have been some work on that, but we need to have a better integration on that. So we'll probably try to contribute to this extension in the near future. The question is, will it be a Quarkus extension, or will it be a CDI Lite extension working with Quarkus? We still have to figure out. I'm saying that because I will probably do a talk in Devox UK or Devox France or whatever conference that will agree to have us to demonstrate the capacity of this new CDI Lite build compatible extension and see how Quarkus handle it and perhaps another microprofile implementation.
Yeah, maybe it could be both, right? The Quarkus extension registering a.
Yeah. But I think we'll need both parts. I think we'll start with the microprofile one, and we'll need a more specific Quarkus part. So it will be both of them, probably. From what I understood from the mechanism.
Yes, the thing is that when you build an extension, a Quarkus extension, you can easily plug your thing with metrics, health, all the observability stack, Kubernetes metadata generation if you need to, which you can't really from a purely portable extension.
Yeah. That's the reason why we'll probably have to go for a Quarkus one. But I'll try to do both of them and complete the part that is not possible with CDI Lite with the Quarkus one. So that's the way I'm going in every development. I'm very keen to stick to standard. So try to use the standard as long as you can, and when you have to use a specific part of the framework, you do it, but you make it the smallest possible. But that's my way of seeing things. That's my Java EE and microprofile approach.
What I found
because the microprofile, how to say, argument was one of the most important in the discussion, because they discovered that there was a way of doing microservice in Java, which was portable, and they saw something beyond the Spring solution that they thought was the only one.
So we've got a question about Cogito and the relationship between Cogito and rules. So working on a project where we need to integrate rules for business rules, how different is it from using Cogito? What are your use cases, Antoine?
So we are not using rules because we don't have very smart rules to deal with. We are using Cogito because of the BPMN solution we wanted to add to our project. We have a lot of workflows in our project, very, how to say, step-by-step treatment with a decision at one point. And we wanted to have a solution to discuss with the business analyst of the project. It was easier for them to work on the schema with all the step and the branching and stuff like that, and they like it. So they are working with us, designing all the schema, and we are putting the code, different parts, improving the stuff, etc. And that's the reason why we use Cogito on the project. But as I understand, rules is more for business rules, and we don't have a lot of complicated business rules. So for the moment, the few business rules we have are hard-coded because they need to be very efficient. I'm not sure rules would be able to bring us the lightness and the rapidity we need on that. But perhaps I'm wrong.
Can I ask something, like, because it's like recent to Quarkus, are you looking at all into all this AI craze, LLM stuff or whatnot? Because it just happens that Quarkus added some capability like recently. You can start playing with this.
No, we are not looking in LLM right now. It was a question that was raised by the management because they wanted to know if in the future it could be possible to plug LLM on the accountancy solution, and the answer was yes. but not now because we are in the middle of development, and it will be possible, yeah. But it's not on the schedule right now. But it will be perhaps an evolution in the future.
But the good news is that there is an extension for it.
Yeah.
That's actually something I found remarkable in your project. Quarkus comes with a set of extensions, but in your use case, you have used very different technologies than the one we have in core. Like you use Ibetis, Ignite, Teradata, which are not something we actually maintain on our side. I found this quite interesting. So there is so much around that you can integrate in Quarkus today that shows that for all the people that say, hey, but there is not the things I need. Well, there is already a lot of things.
Yeah. You can integrate a lot of technology. We are also using a lot of Cucumber testing. It's an extension in Quarkus, but and that's a good stuff because we also with our business analysts have a lot of nice work because they are developing themselves their Cucumber test with the Gherkin language. Yes, we have a nice business analyst, and we develop so all the Gherkin steps under the hood, and it's managed with Quarkus under that. That's working like a charm.
There is plenty of things happening in the testing world around Quarkus. So there is this.
Yeah.
There is Microx, where we have an insight. Holy help me, it's in 2 weeks, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah, before the end of the year.
We have another extension that is currently getting built by another project I read at, but for some very different purpose. So the testing environment around Quarkus is booming right now. There is plenty of new ideas and trying to cover all the pyramids of tests with different approach. That's super interesting.
Yeah, that's
we still hate writing tests, but
yeah, and
we have plenty of
super important. Yeah, super important as well. Yeah,
the LLM will produce it. So
yep. Well, you may not have the coverage you believe, but
yeah,
but it's always a bit complicated. That's one of the problem we have when you start with a behavior testing like Cucumber. In fact, the coverage is a bit hard to measure because you are your own judge on that. You decide the list of scenario you want to test, and the coverage is only how many scenario I develop on the list of the scenario I wanted to develop. So we often go back to the work of business analysts and ask them if we shouldn't develop a breaking scenario because they are always on the nominal scenario, and say, okay, now it should be a good time to have a scenario that won't work, to make sure that the error that we'll have is the one we expect. And they say, okay. So that's always a lot of work around testing, and it's not linked to Quarkus per se, but it's the life of those big projects.
You just need some good QA friends.
Yeah,
they will manage to break your app like in 1,000 ways quickly.
Oh, they've got there's something about a good QA that they've got this evil mind that just finds the things that you didn't think of. And yeah, even if you do, because I always TDD, and even if you're TDDing everything, then they come in and they like find the bit that you didn't do.
You want to launch the Chaos Monkey on your application and see that everything is working.
It's something I did actually, is to run a proxy between the Quarkus application and the database, and random latency in between. You learn a lot about how your application misbehave in that case, like crazy misbehaving. Like, it was like, okay, need to go back on the whiteboard.
Antoine, how about next step? So I assume this was like a good use case. It seems to be working. It's going to be deployed soon, or it has been. So, what are the next plans?
We probably the next step in the coming weeks will be about performance measurement. And right now we are scratching our head to see how we'll lead this campaign of perf on the project. Not sure right now we have all the aspects, and that's one of the pain points we have today. Not the fact that the perf is bad. The fact that we I'm not sure how to measure it, how to lead this campaign of testing on performance
without testing it, which is obviously a ridiculous question. Do you have like any sense now of where Quarkus is in terms of performance? Because that's one of the things that people always love about it is the performance.
Yeah, we have a lot. We have a quite nice performance because we at the beginning we had to deal with a brick of development, one of the microservices that was developed by a former project, and we had to use it at the beginning. And it was in Spring and Spring Boot, and we port this to Quarkus, and yeah, we had a lot of improvements by doing quite the same on the functional layer, but with Quarkus we gain about 20 to 30% of improvement. I'm not sure the reason why, but it was a good news on the project. So it was a part regarding reading file, transforming file, etc., and it was more efficient.
So what was throughput? You mean like
yeah.
speed? Yeah. What about memory, boot times?
That's. I think it's the main reason. Memory was less used by the Quarkus version. Yeah. To be honest, today I'm not sure the exact reason why, but it was a good surprise.
I always wish we would talk more about Quarkus's throughput because it's got really good throughput, but we don't talk about it as much as.
And we do a lot of throughput in the project, a lot of reading and writing, and so today we are running on Java 17, and my hope is that we'll be able to switch to Java 21 soon.
Ooh.
And start to play with virtual threads, because with all those I/O, you have the feeling that using threads that can be put on side during the treatment and take again after that will be a good trade-off and a good solution. But we didn't have we are not be able to do the experiment now. It will be done in live when we'll switch to Java 21.
You will need to check that you're not pinning, that you don't have any native calls, so no HTTP compression and so on, that you're not monopolizing, which in what you do can be tricky. File system is a bit tougher. Weird things in virtual thread because the file system is not async. Actually, it's that's it. So yeah, there is plenty of things, but shameless plug, I wrote a nice blog post series about that.
Okay. I will call you, Clement, when we will do that.
I hope to see you before you start switching to 21, but we will see.
Oh, and just going back to the performance, I put this up, but then we never actually mentioned it. Of have you considered using K6 for your load testing when you go to do the performance measurements?
No, we didn't. But perhaps it will be a good idea.
So K6 is a tool from Grafana to actually write a scenario and do some tests. So it's
that's interesting.
I'm not entirely sure.
And what are the specifics of K6 exactly? Because I heard of it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have to say I haven't used it either. So I guess we can.
If you remember Gatling.
Yeah.
It reused some ideas of Gatling, but it's not in Scala.
Okay.
I think it's in JavaScript. Pick your poison, but yeah, but
Okay.
it's I used it once a long time ago, or a long time, it was 6 months ago, and I found it quite interesting in the sense of how to write your scenarios. It's and how to run them, the amount of results that it gave you. So yeah, it's if you are looking for tools, yeah, try it.
Okay.
Okay,
Antoine,
so Gason says that yes, it's Grafana, so my memory is not that bad, and it's JavaScript or TypeScript.
Antoine, once you are on Quarkus, how are the upgrades look like? Like, are they easy, tough,
Ah,
stuff breaks or not, or how does it look?
you shouldn't have asked this question. So we are stuck in Quarkus 2 because of Cogito. Right now, Cogito is still using the JavaX package, and until it will be until it use the Jakarta package. So we are considering going to the project and see if we can give an end on that topic to help us going to Quarkus 3. So to be honest, a part of that we had no problem upgrading from one version to the other until now.
Mhm. And about support, like cycles, now we have introduced like an LTS version in Quarkus. Do you have any requirements there, or something that you'd like to see the community implementing, or longer cycles, or whatnot?
Except
Or
for
only
this
good?
big, except for this big problem and for Apache Ignite integration, we don't have any requirement. It's working like charm right now. That's the only pain point we had with the framework until now. And you were asking about the future. Yeah, it may be possible that we'll migrate to OpenShift next year, because the bank is considering using OpenShift. So we hope that it will relieve us from some limitation on the IBM Cloud version of the bank, and having something more portable and more standard.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps it will be also helpful.
Actually, I wanted to ask you about that. How do you manage a Kubernetes deployment? Is that something that you are on craft? Are you using the Quarkus ability to write the descriptor for you? How do
No,
you
we cannot.
create your images?
No, we don't have a lot of control of on that part, because the organization of this bank is very there is a big separation between dev and ops. There is no DevOps, it's dev/ops. But we achieve to work a bit with the ops and give them a bit of insight. So we try to build our image with them and use this image, but there are a lot of limitation on those images. And we discovered a lot of very strange stuff on the architecture. The last one was Illumio limitation. They deployed the Illumio security layer, and it does a lot of strange stuff, making our very efficient web service not able to see each other until the Illumio convergence that may take 5 minutes. So you are working to make sure that you start in about 1 or 2 seconds, and after that you have to wait 5 minutes to be able to communicate with the rest of the world. So it's been working on, but some of the developers are a bit discouraged then they discovered that, and it was a hard blow that we discovered 2 weeks ago. But I'm sure that there will be a good ending on that, and it will work in the end.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, since you are on RHEL or Future and on OpenShift, you also have access to the Red Hat build of Quarkus, like for free, essentially. Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
have to buy it; it's part of the package. Okay, got it. What else we have? Like questions?
Yeah, we've got a question about version strategies. Yeah, whether you want to use LTS. Well, do you want to use LTS or the latest? And should other people use LTS or the latest?
I'll let you answer that. So I see question about native builds. We are not using native builds, but it's not a technical limitation, it's a political limitation.
Yeah, and about LTS versus latest, it depends degree of conservatism you want, and on the degree of change you want between one version and the other one. The LTS is very stable, but we are not going to backport any features, but any CVEs or critical fixes will be backported. So if you are looking for something like which will stay there for a few months, then LTS is great. If you really want the latest and greatest and are looking for new features and ask for new features directly to the Quarkus team, well, then pick latest, because we are not going to backport features. That's too risky. So depends on what kind of things you want, and you cannot have both, unfortunately, like stability and novelties. That doesn't work.
Yeah, so except if you go on to the latest, you will be wanting to upgrade regularly to ensure that you continue to get the support and the the CVE fixes and that kind of thing.
So it's like if you are one day install Linux on your laptop, on your machines, it's the same thing. Do you prefer having the LTS and not having to update your packages every day, or do you want to really be on the unstable stream and live with it? Like sometimes bad things can happen. So
Other questions, folks, like that are live, maybe you wanna. It's a good time to just ask now anything.
Yeah, there is a question why we are not using native builds. I think it's. I said it was political because I think the people that operate the cluster and operate the applications have. They think they have knowledge on the JVM. They don't, in fact, but they prefer to have the same the same problem in every application instead of having new problems with the native build, even if they don't they don't manage a real problem with the JVM and all the garbage collector issue and stuff like that they already have. So they wanted us to use the JVM for that.
So actually, I had another customer call last week, and I was actually recommending JVM for the use case because of large heap size and so on. With Quarkus, native is a possibility. It's not a must, and it always need to be reminded that yes, you can do native, but does that fit your use case, your things that you want to do? It's not necessarily true. So you always need to compare. And if native can bring something, great. But if the benefits are not that big, JVM is way more stable. I think Antonio said it in the chat. You have your observability tools that are working out of the box.
That's the reason why.
We know to tune it. We know everything. So except if you have really a need for native, you can be a little bit more conservative. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was another reason. The observability was another reason. They are using Dynatrace everywhere in the company, and I don't know now if it's still the case, but at the moment, it was impossible to have a good observability from Dynatrace with the native.
I think we've been working on that, or Dynatrace.
I think now it's the case, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, there are a group of people around GraalVMs that want to try to get agents working in native images, but basically by putting the agents during the build, and then it's there during the native builds, but I don't know if that would work. for all the agents, or it will be specific to a single agent.
Yeah.
So it's a
Another security issue in perspective.
I think we're close to the end. So just to close out, I don't know, any last comments, folks? Holly, Clément, Antoine?
No, this has been super interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting how you navigated at the beginning negative feedbacks, what you show about with Quarkus, and show that it's possible to have Quarkus in big environments with lots of legacy, both techniques but also management. That's it's possible to have Quarkus deployed in such kind of environment. That's a great story.
Yeah. Oh, and we've got a last-minute question. You thought you were done, Antoine, but we've got a last-minute question coming in about whether you're using OpenTelemetry.
We are not using OpenTelemetry right now, but we'll be using it. So it's planned. We are testing it right now.
Oh, thank you.
So I can come back and give you for tracing.
Okay.
And there's another good question.
I think it's Antonio asking for a CDI book.
Yeah, that's a joke between us. I have to work on the chapter of his book regarding CDI. I will one day. No, next year it will be done.
We can give you back 4 minutes on the hour to go back and do some work on the book.
Only 3 minutes right now, so go right.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
That was great. Thank you very much, Antoine, and everyone online. And I guess we see you next week.
Thank you. Bye. It was nice.
Thanks.
Bye.